Good morning. Today we are going to work on adding setting development to our narrative drafts. All of the materials for this lesson are in this post that says 6-1, but you're going to do all of your work on the post that's from 526, and it says major grade in capital letters. So today we're going to go back into our drafts and we're going to add details to enhance the setting. Remember, the setting is the time and the place that your story takes place. So even if you've already written the beginning of your narrative, you're going to go back today, reread it, and add details to it. Let's see how we're going to do that. One way that we can add details is by adding figurative language. So I'm going to show you this video, and it's called the Figurative Language Wrap. And while I'm showing it to you, I want you to notice the different types of figurative language that could be used when you're writing about your setting in your story.
Figurative language. Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile.
When Sally seems to sit somewhere separate from Sonia, or Caleb calls Chris because he's coming to California, it's called alliteration. That's what occurs when you got the same sound at the start of every word, but when you got a vowel sound that keeps sounding the same, that's a figure called assonance. Yeah, that's its name. It's what I'm trying to define by providing this example, but I cannot deny that assonance could be a handful.
Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile.
A simile is something that you use to compare two unrelated things with an element that's shared. My mind is like an ocean, it's as smooth as jazz, but it's only a simile if it uses like the as. A metaphor is similar, but watch out. Be careful, cause you got to leave like an as out. My mind is an ocean, my words are a river, so keep your ears open as I continue to deliver.
Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile.
Now if the sun's smiling down or the boat hugged the shore, that's personification, nothing less, nothing more. But with a buzz or a ding or a hiss or a roar, that's onomatopoeia that we're using for sure. Hyperbole? Man, that's like a million times harder. Take something true, then exaggerate it way farther. Now you've heard this song from beginning to the finish. Now you've got some tools to draw your literary image.
Sometimes what you mean is not exactly what you say. That's figurative language, using words in different ways. Personification, alliteration, assonance, and hyperbole. Onomatopoeia, metaphor, and simile. Figurative language. Figurative language. Figurative language. Figurative language.
Okay, so that little wrap gave you some examples of figurative language that you can use when you're developing your setting. Some of the examples they brought up Let's make a list. They brought up metaphors, similes, personification, I didn't spell that right. Oh, maybe I did. I don't know. Onomatopoeia. No. Nope. I was right. Hyperbole. Assonance. I think that's it. All right, so a metaphor is when you compare two things without using like or as. So her eyes are the sun would be an example of a metaphor. Let's actually do them all about setting. The room was an ocean. A simile is when you compare with like or as. The room was as large as an ocean. Personification is when you give human qualities to non-human things. The room laughed with joy. The room can't really laugh, but if I picture the room laughing, I'm thinking that there's a lot of people in the room who are making noise and sounding joyful. Onomatopoeia would be if you use words that sound like how they're spelled. Boom, crash, bang are all examples of onomatopoeia. Hyperbole is when you exaggerate something. So the room was as large as a stadium.
Mrs. Pagano, where are you typing this?
Oh.
There we go.
Sorry. Thanks. And then assonance we're not going to worry about because it's when the vowels in the middle are the same. And right now we're going to just worry about these 5. So our objective for today is to revise our drafts to include sensory details that describe the setting of our narrative. And to do that, we're going to try and use figurative language. Remember, you should have chosen what point of view that you're writing your essay through. And now we're going to work on the setting. When you're describing the setting, you should also think about not just time and place, but you can think about the mood, how the setting feels, the weather or the temperature. You did research on the weather and the temperature in your photo, the colors, the noises, the sights, and the smells. So all of the senses that would be activated by your setting. Let's look at my example. So I'm going to read you the first paragraph, and I want you to notice the way I describe the setting, the time, and the place where my story happens. Sumi stood in the dusty, crowded, run-down train station of Dhaka, Bangladesh in the mid-afternoon of a sweltering day in the late summer. Already, I've described the temperature and the weather. I've also described I think I described the smell, or at least the sights, because I said it was dusty and run down. Summer was not far away. Just 1 month ago, she was married to a man she barely knew. His name was Hassan. Both of their families agreed they were a nice couple, but Sumi and Hassan had no say in the decision. Sumi was wearing her best, most cherished dress in a beautiful combination of sunflower yellow and ruby red. All of this is just talking about a character, so I'm not really focused on that today. She stood out from her dirty surroundings. There's the setting. But the extreme heat, her dress was becoming wet with sweat and wrinkled. There was a stale and sour smell in the train station due to the immense heat and overcrowded condition. The noise of the train station was deafening. So notice how I'm describing. What did it look like? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? And what did it sound like? The noise is so loud. She could barely think straight, but her face looked serious, as though she were trying desperately to work something out in her head. People were rushing in all directions to catch the train. Each time a person passed, she could feel the heat of their body. It made her even more uncomfortable. Everyone was going home for the festival of Eid. So today what I'm going to ask you to do is to go back into your draft and add things about the setting. Make sure you talk about how it looks, how it feels, what the weather is like, how it smells, how it sounds. If you have any questions, please let me or Mr. Cook or Mrs. Rudder know.